The naked stranger in the woods. The night was cold. The wind blew gently through the tall trees of Carthos, a wild planet far from Earth. The moon above was bigger than Earth's moon, casting silver light across the snowy ground. Daniel walked, alone with his flashlight in one hand and a heat pack in his pocket. He was a human explorer, sent to collect samples and map the area. But tonight felt different. Something was watching him. He stopped. He turned his head. He heard nothing, only the wind. Still, he felt it. Then, crack. A small sound, like a twig snapping. He spun around, aiming his light into the dark woods. "Who's there?" he called. No answer. He took a slow step forward. His boots crunched on the snow. The silence returned. Then, from between two trees, she stepped out. Daniel's heart jumped. It was a girl, but not human. Her skin was pale purple, glowing slightly under the moonlight. Her hair was long and silver, tangled and full of dirt. Her eyes, large and shining, looked straight at him. She wore nothing, no clothes, no shoes, no protection from the cold. Her arms were wrapped around herself. Her body was thin, fragile. She shivered but didn't speak. Daniel quickly took off his thick coat and rushed to her. Hey, it's okay," he said gently, wrapping the coat around her. "Are you hurt?" She didn't answer. He could see bruises on her arms, old scars, deep ones. His heart ached. She looked lost, broken. "Can you walk?" he asked. She nodded slowly. Daniel took her arm carefully. Her fingers were ice cold. He helped her sit on a nearby log. From his bag he pulled out a heat pack and placed it in her hands. She looked down at it confused, then held it close to her chest. "I'm Daniel," he said. "What's your name?" Still, no answer. She just stared at the trees behind them. Daniel followed her gaze, and then he heard a growl low. Hungry. Not human. The alien girl suddenly whispered one word, her voice dry and weak. "Run." Daniel froze. Out of the dark trees, two glowing eyes appeared. Then another. And another. 3 creatures. Dark fur. Sharp claws. Teeth like blades. Predators. Daniel stood in front of the girl. His body shook, but not from cold. He grabbed his emergency flare from his belt and lit it. Bright red light burst into the air, scaring the creatures. They growled louder but didn't run. He held the flare high, shouting, "Get back!" One beast leapt forward. Daniel threw the flare straight at its face. The creature yelped and backed off, smoke rising from its fur. Daniel didn't wait. He grabbed the girl's hand. "We have to go, now." They ran through the snow. Her steps were slow, weak. He lifted her into his arms and sprinted. Behind them, the creatures chased. Daniel reached a small rocky cave. He slipped inside and ducked low. The entrance was narrow, too small for the beasts. For now, they were safe. He set the girl down gently, her breathing fast and shallow. She looked at him with wide eyes, still shaking. "You're safe now," he whispered. The girl finally spoke, her voice a quiet whisper. "Why did you help me?" Daniel blinked. "Because you needed help." "No one helps me," she said. "They threw me away." Daniel didn't understand yet, but he knew one thing. This girl had no one, and whatever she had survived, it had left her broken. But not anymore. Daniel made a silent promise to himself. He would not leave her alone again. Not in these woods. Not in this galaxy. The cave was dark and cold. Wind howled outside. But for now, Daniel and the alien girl were safe. She sat near the wall, Daniel's coat still wrapped tightly around her. She didn't speak again. Her hands held the heat pack like it was her last hope. Daniel lit a small camping light and set it between them. The soft glow made shadows dance on the stone walls. He looked at her. "Do you have a name?" he asked gently. She didn't answer. but her eyes moved to him. Slowly, her lips parted. Lyra. It was the first word she had said clearly. Daniel smiled. Lyra, that's a beautiful name. She lowered her eyes. I was not allowed to keep it. That confused him. What do you mean? They took it away when I was sold. Daniel's heart dropped. Sold? Before he could ask more, a loud sound echoed outside the cave, a howl. Not a beast this time, a siren. Lyra flinched. What is that? Daniel asked. She hugged herself tighter. Trackers. They are searching for me. Daniel peeked outside. Tiny red drones flew through the trees. They scanned the area with bright beams of light. They will not stop, she whispered. They paid to own me. Now I have run. I am property. Daniel's jaw tightened. You're not property. You're a person. She looked at him. Not to them. He knew now. This wasn't just about surviving in the woods. Someone had hunted her, and they still were. He turned off the light and pulled her further into the cave. Stay quiet, he said. Outside, two tall shadows appeared through the trees. Alien soldiers in dark armor. Their voices were low and metallic. One held a scanner. It beeped slowly, then faster as they came closer. Lyra pressed her hand to her mouth, holding back a breath. Daniel pulled out a small EMP pulse from his belt, used to stop wild drones. He looked at her. She nodded. Do it. He pressed the trigger. A silent wave shot out. The scanner beeped once more, then died. The soldiers stopped. One smacked the device. The other looked around. Then they turned away, angry, and vanished into the dark. Daniel let out a long breath. Lyra's shoulders relaxed. You saved me again, she said quietly. Daniel looked at her. I don't even know what you're running from, but I know this, it's not your fault. She stared at him for a long moment. You don't know what they did to me. Then tell me, he said softly. Her hands trembled. I was born on a slave ship. My mother died there. I don't know my father. I was sold to nobles on Virex 7. They trained me, beat me, used me. Then one day I bit one of them. Daniel blinked. You bit him? She gave a small, sad nod. I tried to fight back. What happened? They marked me as damaged and threw me from their skyship into these woods. I wasn't worth the price anymore. Daniel's fists clenched. She should have died, alone, naked, afraid, but she didn't. And now she sat here, still breathing, still alive. You are not broken, Lyra, he said. They are. Lyra looked at him, eyes glassy. No one's ever said that to me. A sudden noise cut through the moment. This time not a growl, but voices. Real ones. Footsteps. We saw the pulse from here, one shouted. Daniel's eyes widened. More were coming. We have to move, he said. Where? He grabbed his pack. There's an old signal tower nearby, abandoned. If we reach it, I can send a message for help. Lyra stood slowly. I trust you. Daniel helped her to her feet. Outside, the forest waited. So did the shadows. But now they weren't running alone. They were running together. The signal tower stood like a broken skeleton in the middle of a wide, frozen field. Its antenna leaned sideways, half buried in ice. Long ago, it had sent signals across the stars. Now, it was just cold metal and silence. Daniel helped Lyra inside, the rusty control room. The roof had holes. Snow had piled in corners. But it was shelter. It was safe. For now. Daniel shut the steel door and placed his bag down. He pulled out a small heater cube, activated it, and placed it near Lyra. She sat down slowly. Her feet were bleeding from the long walk. Daniel gave her a water pouch. She took it with both hands, drinking carefully. She still wore his coat. Underneath, she had nothing, but she no longer looked ashamed. She looked tired, like she had Carried pain for years. Daniel crouched in front of her. "Let me see your wounds," he said gently. She hesitated. He waited. Finally, she nodded. She slowly opened the coat, turning her back toward him. Daniel's eyes widened. Her skin was covered in old marks, not from accidents but from punishment. Some were straight lines, whip marks. Some were circular, burns. Some were strange symbols carved deep and ugly. "Who did this to you?" Daniel asked, his voice low. "They called themselves nobles," she said, voice quiet. "But they were monsters." He gently cleaned one of the fresh wounds. Lyra flinched but didn't pull away. "I was not born free," she said. "I never knew what love was, or comfort, or kindness." Daniel paused. "And now?" She looked at him over her shoulder. "You confuse me." He smiled sadly. "Why?" "You treat me like I matter." "You do matter." Lyra looked away. "My body was sold many times, each owner worse than the last. I was trained to be silent, to obey, to suffer." Daniel wrapped a clean cloth around her arm. "But you escaped." "I didn't escape," she said. "I was thrown away." Her fingers touched the strange scar on her side, one shaped like a symbol. Daniel asked, "What does that mean?" She took a deep breath. "It is the mark of rejection. They only give it to those who fight back. It tells others, 'This one is worthless.'" Daniel stared at the mark. "Then they lied." She looked confused. "You're not worthless," he said. "You're still alive. That means you have a future." Lyra shook her head. "Not with bounty hunters on my trail. Not with this body. Not with this past." Daniel stood. "Then we change your future. Together." She blinked. "Why are you doing this?" "Because I've seen monsters. Real ones. And you're not one of them." Suddenly, a sharp sound echoed from outside. A screech. Daniel rushed to the window. 3 drones hovered in the air, scanning the ground. He quickly shut the metal shutter. "We don't have much time," he said. He turned back to Lyra. "I'll fix the antenna. I can send a message to the nearest human outpost, but it'll take a few hours. We'll need to hide again after that." Lyra nodded. Then she stood, holding the coat tight around her. "I want to help," she said. Daniel looked surprised. "You sure?" She nodded. "I don't want to be a victim anymore." For the first time, she stood taller. Not strong, but trying to be. Daniel smiled. "Then let's fix this tower." As he opened the side panel of the machine, he noticed Lyra looking at her reflection in a broken screen. She touched one of her scars, and then smiled softly. It was the smallest smile he had ever seen, but it was real. And in that moment, Daniel understood something. She wasn't healing just because of safety or food or warmth. She was healing because for the first time in her life, someone saw her, not as a slave, not as a thing, but as a person. The storm had passed. Daniel and Lyra walked together across the frozen plains. Behind them was the broken signal tower. Ahead, tucked between icy hills, stood a small alien village made of stone huts and glowing crystal lights. Daniel had passed through this place once, months ago. The people here were quiet but kind. He hoped they would give Lyra shelter, food, maybe even peace. Lyra walked beside him wearing a long blanket over her body. Her steps were slow but stronger than before. As they neared the village gate, a tall alien male stepped forward. His skin was a darker shade of violet than Lyra's. He held a long metal staff. Daniel raised a hand. "We need help. She's..." The alien cut him off with a cold glare. He looked at Lyra. Then, he spat on the ground. Lyra froze. Daniel blinked. "What's wrong?" More villagers gathered. One female gasped and pointed at Lyra's neck. "That mark," she whispered. Another hissed. "She wears the curse." Daniel looked at Lyra's neck and saw it for the first time. A faded brand. A symbol burned into her skin long ago. It was the same shape as the rejection mark she showed earlier. The villagers stepped back in fear. "She's a fallen one," someone said. "She brings misfortune. She is not welcome here." Lyra's hands trembled. Her face turned pale. Daniel stood in front of her. "Wait, she's hurt. She's not dangerous." But they didn't care. A village elder stepped forward. His face was calm but hard. "You are human. You do not understand. That girl was cast out by the high families. She carries shame." Daniel looked back at Lyra. Her head was down, her eyes filled with tears. "I didn't choose this," she whispered, but no one listened. "She cannot stay here," the elder said. "If you bring her in, you both must leave." Daniel felt a fire inside him. He turned to Lyra. "Do you want to go in?" She shook her head. "Not if they hate me." Daniel faced the villagers. "Then you should be ashamed. You left one of your own to die in the snow." No one answered. He took Lyra's hand. "Come on, we'll go." As they turned to leave, an old alien woman stepped forward. She had cloudy eyes and walked with a cane. She touched Lyra's shoulder. "You were born with the singing blood," she said softly. Lyra looked up, confused. "What?" The old woman nodded. "I knew your mother. She had the same glow in her eyes. She was not weak, she was powerful." Daniel listened carefully. "Your scars tell pain," the woman continued, "but your spirit tells strength." Lyra's lip trembled. "She was thrown away," Daniel said. "But she survived. That alone makes her worth more than any noble." The old woman gave Lyra a small necklace, an old charm made of crystal. "Keep this," she whispered. "One day, you'll return not as a shame, but as a flame." Then she turned and walked away. No one else spoke. The village returned to its silence. Daniel and Lyra left the gates behind. For a long time, they walked without speaking. Then Lyra said, "Why did they hate me so much?" Daniel sighed. "Because they're still living by old rules. Rules made by people who fear power they don't understand." Lyra looked at the charm in her hand. "Do you think I could be powerful?" Daniel smiled. "You already are." She held the charm close to her chest, and for the first time she believed him. The campfire crackled under the stars. Daniel and Lyra sat beside it in silence. The sky above was full of strange constellations, alien stars neither of them could name. But both of them felt the weight of the night. Lyra still held the crystal, charm the old woman gave her. Her fingers ran over its surface again and again. She whispered, "I keep wondering, what if I hadn't survived?" Daniel didn't answer at first. Then he said, "Then I never would have met you." Before she could reply, a sharp whistling sound cut through the night air. A bright blue flare shot up into the sky. Daniel stood up at once. "That wasn't mine." Suddenly a voice echoed across the field. "Lyra, of House Valine. Return what does not belong to you." Lyra froze. Daniel grabbed his rifle and pulled her behind him. "Who is that?" She didn't speak. The shadows moved. From the darkness, a ship descended, sleek, black, and sharp-edged like a blade. It hovered, just above the ground. A ramp lowered with a hiss, and then he stepped out, a tall alien male in silver robes, a glowing cane in one hand, and metal implants along his neck and temples. Lyra gasped. "Master Soren," she whispered. Daniel tensed. "Is that the one?" She nodded. "He was the last one who owned me." Soren stepped closer, smiling coldly. Well, well, I didn't expect my property to be walking free, let alone with a human." Daniel stepped forward. "She's not your property," Soren chuckled. "Oh, but by our laws she is. Marked and thrown or not, her blood is still owned." Lyra shook her head. "You left me to die." "I gave you a chance to prove yourself," Soren replied. "You failed." Daniel aimed his rifle. "Leave. Now." But Soren raised his hand calmly. I did not come to kill, he said. In fact, I came to offer a trade. Daniel narrowed his eyes. What kind of trade? Soren turned his cold eyes to Lyra. You come back with me peacefully, and I let the human live. Lyra's face went pale. Daniel's voice hardened. That's not a trade. That's a threat. Soren smiled. Call it mercy. Lyra stepped forward. Her voice trembled. Why do you even care now? You threw me away. Soren's expression darkened. Because news spreads fast. A human sends distress signals from the old tower. A cursed girl walks freely through alien villages. You're not forgotten, Lyra. You're a problem. Lyra clenched her fists. Daniel whispered to her, Don't listen to him. But Lyra stepped forward, holding her head high. You used to beat me when I asked questions. Now I ask one more, she said. Why are you afraid of me? Soren's eye twitched. Because you survived something no one was supposed to survive. Lyra smiled faintly. Then maybe I'm stronger than you think. Soren hissed in anger. Come, with me, girl, or I'll burn this field to the ground. Daniel raised the rifle. Try it. Soren paused. Then he looked Daniel straight in the eyes. You don't understand what you're protecting, he said. She's not just a girl. Her bloodline is cursed. Her power is dangerous. She was made to obey, until she broke her own code. Daniel didn't move. I don't care, he said. You'll have to go through me. Soren stared at them both, then slowly turned away. This isn't over, he said. His ship rose silently into the sky and vanished into the stars. Silence returned. Lyra sat down slowly. She was shaking, but not from fear, from rage. I was supposed to be nothing, she whispered. But now, Daniel said, sitting beside her, you're something they fear. She looked at him and smiled. This time it wasn't small, it was real. The night after Soren left was not quiet. It was the calm before a storm. Daniel sat near the dead campfire, staring at the ground. His fists were clenched, his jaw tight. Lyra watched him from the edge of the field. She had never seen him like this. He wasn't just angry, he was burning. He'll come back, she said softly. Daniel didn't reply. Lyra walked over to him. You don't have to fight for me. Daniel looked up and his voice was cold. Yes, I do. She blinked. Why? Because you were treated like an object. Because they threw you away like trash. Because someone needs to show them what a human does when they cross the line. He stood up and opened his pack. Inside were tools, metal pieces, energy cells, old human tech. He began putting them together, fast, focused, like a soldier preparing for war. What are you doing? Lyra asked. Daniel didn't stop working. I'm building something. She moved closer and saw what it was, a trap. Then another, and another. He was turning the field into a death zone. Daniel looked at her. They think humans are soft, weak, peaceful. He locked a battery into place. They think we don't fight because we can't. He smiled. They've never seen what happens when we do. Lyra felt something strange. Fear, yes, but also hope. For the first time, she felt like she wasn't alone in the fight. That night, they didn't sleep. Daniel set traps all around the area, heat mines under snow, pulse-triggered flash bombs, sonic emitters hidden in tree bark. Lyra watched him in silence, learning, remembering. Before dawn, Daniel handed her a small device. What is it? She asked. He replied, Your freedom button. If they get me, press this. It'll wipe out everything around us. Lyra's hands trembled. You'd die too. Daniel smiled gently. I'd do it again if it meant no one ever chains you again. Before she could argue, a deep rumble shook the ground. The sky lit up with bright red lights. They were back. Soren's ship landed harder this time. No diplomacy, no offer, just force. Dozens of armored soldiers marched out, scanners glowing, weapons ready. Soren stepped out confident. This time no speeches, he said. Just capture her. Daniel stood on a hill above the field, rifle in hand. Come and get her. The first squad rushed forward. Boom! A mine exploded under their feet, flinging them into the air. The second squad spread out. Zap! Sonic blasters fired from the trees, making them drop to their knees. Daniel picked them off one by one with perfect aim. The soldiers shouted in panic. It's a human death field. Soren roared. Push forward, he's alone. He wasn't. Lyra stepped out of the shadow, holding a pulse weapon Daniel had taught her to use. Her eyes glowed with quiet rage. You were wrong about me, she said. She fired. 3 soldiers fell back. Soren screamed. She's fighting? She's not allowed to fight. Daniel's voice echoed from the hill. She's not yours to command anymore. Soren charged up his own weapon and aimed it at Lyra before he could fire. Crack! Daniel shot it from his hand. Then, with calm steps, Daniel walked down the hill face to face with Soren. No more masters, Daniel said. He punched Soren across the jaw, sending him crashing into the snow. The remaining soldiers dropped their weapons. Some fled. The battle was over. The storm was done. Soren lay in the snow, blood on his lip. Lyra stood over him. He looked up at her. Finish it, he growled. End me. She looked at Daniel. He didn't say a word. Lyra turned back to Soren and said, No, you don't deserve that mercy. She turned away. Daniel nodded with pride. That day, the cursed girl was no longer running. That day, the human wasn't just her protector. He was her fury. The snow was melting. For the first time since they met, warm winds touched the icy hills of Carthos. The war was over. The pain maybe was not, but something new had begun. Lyra stood at the edge of the cliff, looking at the horizon. The sky was soft orange, painted by the twin suns rising slowly. The world was quiet. Behind her, Daniel walked out of the shelter they built with their own hands. He carried a hot drink. Sweet leaf tea, strong and warm. You didn't sleep, he said gently, handing it to her. She took it. Too much in my head. Daniel nodded. He understood. So much had happened in so little time. From a slave to a survivor. From a stranger in the snow to someone with a name again, and maybe, just maybe, a future. After the fight with Soren, Daniel sent a full report to the nearest human outpost. What happened was clear. Lyra was abused, hunted, and left for dead by alien nobles. Daniel backed, it all with data, recordings, and drone footage. The response came quickly. Bring her in. Full protection granted under Human Refuge Act. Daniel smiled when he read it. But Lyra didn't. I don't want pity, she said quietly. I want to choose who I am now. You will, Daniel promised. You already have. The journey to the human outpost took 4 days. Along the way, Lyra changed, not suddenly, but piece by piece. She smiled more often. She didn't flinch when birds flew overhead. She began asking questions about Earth, about music, about stars, about Daniel's favorite food. He said, grilled. Cheese. She thought it sounded silly. And most of all, she started laughing. Once Daniel told a bad joke about 2 aliens walking into a bar. She groaned and laughed at the same time, saying, You humans are weird. Daniel replied, You're not wrong. The officers didn't question Lyra much. Her scars said enough. They scanned her DNA and found something strange. Her blood carried signs of genetic locking, ancient alien control methods used to keep slaves weak and obedient. Can we fix it? Daniel asked. The doctor nodded. Yes, but it'll be painful. Lyra nodded firmly. I don't care. Do it, the IE. Treatment took 2 days. Her body shook, her mind screamed, but she made it, and when she opened her eyes, she felt different. Lighter, free. In the days that followed, Daniel and Lyra stayed at the outpost. The soldiers there treated Lyra kindly, but with caution. Her scars were a mystery, her past too dark, but Daniel stayed by her side through it all. One morning, a commander visited them. He looked serious. "We received a message from the Galactic Court. Soren is being summoned. He tried to buy influence and failed. With your help, we may finally bring justice." Lyra looked down. "What if they don't believe me?" "They will," Daniel said. She looked up at him. "And if they don't?" He smiled. "Then I'll make them." She laughed softly. "You're not my protector anymore, Daniel." He raised an eyebrow. "No." She shook her head. "Now you're just my friend." There was a pause. Then she added, "My only one." That evening, Lyra asked Daniel something simple, but powerful. "Can I choose a new name?" Daniel nodded. "Of course." She was quiet for a long time, then she whispered, "Hope." He smiled. "Lyra Hope?" She smiled back. "No, just hope. Not what I was. What I am." Daniel agreed. "It suits you." Hope sat near the stream below their home, a small shelter far from the cities, close to the sky. She had started building things herself. A garden, a wooden table, a life. Daniel walked over with a datapad. "Your citizenship request is approved." Hope blinked. "I'm officially human?" Daniel grinned. "Honorary citizen. You've earned it." She took the pad and stared at it. Hope Daunt race, adopted alien status, protected, independent, recognized. She touched the name gently, then looked at Daniel. "Why me?" she asked. "Why did you help me that first night?" He thought about it. "Because you looked like you had no one left. And because I didn't want to walk away from someone who needed help." She smiled again. "You gave me more than help." "I gave you my coat," he teased. "You gave me a reason to keep breathing." There was silence between them, warm and quiet. Hope reached out and took his hand. "I want to go to Earth someday," she said. "You will. And I want to dance." Daniel blinked. "Dance?" She nodded. "You said humans dance when they're happy." He chuckled. "That's true." "Then I want to learn." He stood up and held out his hand. "Well then, let's start now." She looked at his hand, nervous, then placed hers in his. There was no music, no lights, just two souls under alien stars, stepping slowly, clumsily, but together, long after the war, long after the scars. There lived a girl with silver hair and soft violet skin. Her name was once Lyra. She had no name, no clothes, no hope. Until a human gave her a coat, a hand, and a future. Now they call her Hope. And wherever she walks, the stars shine a little brighter, because someone believed she was worth saving, and he was right.